Welcome to another episode of Bourbon and Rum. This is a podcast of two brothers from opposite ends of the spectrum. My name's Kent. I'm a rum drinker, and I'm from the left side of the aisle.
And I'm Kyle. I like bourbon, tend to be a little more conservative. Join us as we explore this experiment. Can two brothers from different sides of the political spectrum have a civil conversation and celebrate our differences?
Hi, everyone. We've got something special to celebrate. Bourbon and Rum just turned 1 year old. And we're raising a glass to you, our listeners, for making it all possible. To say thank you, we're giving away a Bourbon and Run mug. Here's how to enter. Head over to the Bourbon and Rum Discussion Lounge Facebook page, follow us there, and check out the pinned anniversary giveaway post for all the details. It's super easy, and you'll be entered to win. The giveaway closes on August 27th at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we'll announce the winner on August 28th. So don't wait. Go enter now. And cheers to year 2 of Bourbon and Rum. What are you drinking?
Well, I am drinking an old favorite here, a little E.H. Taylor small batch. And mainly the reason I'm drinking it is a friend of mine was down in another part of Texas and said, hey, Specs had a bunch of bottles of E.H. Taylor. And there's been rumors because 2016 Buffalo Trace Distillery invested like $1.5 billion to increase production. But, it takes years for this stuff to be done. And then at the same time, they say that we're past the peak of bourbon. So demand's going down. They made all these investments. And there's all this discussion that you're going to start seeing it. Well, E.H. Taylor is kind of one of those unicorn bottles that they're really hard to find. Well, I went to our local Specs and they had 7 bottles under the checkout place. And the guy was like, you want all 7? They're at retail. They're $50 a bottle. And I'm like, I don't think I'll take all 7, but I'll take 2. So I took 2 bottles. And that's like all the bourbon lover's dream is you get to the point where your favorite stuff, like you could get a bottle and it's not ridiculously priced. But up until now, it wasn't uncommon to see these things for $100 to $150 a bottle. It's good bourbon, but it's good $50 bourbon. It's not $150.
Well, may I suggest just the nature of human beings that if you can get it everywhere for $50, it's not going to taste as good. You're going to want the one that you're going to want the Black Swan that's $150 a bottle because that inherently tastes better.
I don't know if I could get this in Eagle Rare, I'd get rid of everything else. There's better ones, but the flavor is really good.
Cool.
So, what are you drinking on?
Well, I don't know because our power's out. We got no light, and so I just grabbed the closest bottle and poured a glass of it. But what I think I've got here is the pineapple rum from Plant Array that I've talked about. That's my best guess given the flavor of the rum. And I'm drinking it just straight up, no ice or anything, because, didn't want to open the freezer. So we're podcasting by candlelight here. Not really candlelight, battery powered lamp, but power's out here and we're trying to get by.
Well, I thought about you this week because I texted you. I went to, I'm in Texas and Costco here doesn't sell liquor, but I was in Phoenix and they do sell liquor at the Costco and they had a 20-year-old Kirkland rum. So from Panama. So I picked that up. I don't know what I'm drinking. I tried it, but it seemed okay, but you'll have to taste it for me and tell me if it's any good.
I'll have to check our Costco because we do have liquor here, but I haven't seen that. I've seen like the handle of Costco spiced rum and walked past it, but
yeah.
Even as we speak, I think that they're wrapping up in Anchorage right now with the summit between Trump and Putin. I'll send you a pic offline, Kyle, on my phone. My son who lives in Anchorage, went out to the airport and was watching the Russian diplomats' planes land all day yesterday. So, and then he was picked up on the front page of the Anchorage Daily paper.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Although one
Hey,
thing that
before we jump into it, I do think it's our producer had mentioned this is 1 year of the Bourbon and Run podcast, is it not?
you are correct, this year has flown by. I could not believe that it was a year that we've done this. And yeah, just to kind
That's
of
crazy.
pause on that a little bit, you know, um, I'm still so flattered and grateful when people reach out and tell me that they listen to. We've got people that, some listen all the time, some listen once in a while, but had a couple of family members just the other day ping me and say they listened to our, what was it, our 3 session set on the Epstein thing. And we're not done with that, by the way. But
Oh, no, there's more to come.
um, yeah, it's just really meaningful that people would listen to us and are really a part of it. I guess I would make a pitch. Here we are celebrating a year. Reach out on social media or email or whatever. We'd just love to hear from you. What are you liking about it? If you've stuck with us the whole time, why? What can we do better?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think, we were talking about one of our favorite episodes and such. And I don't know. What I'd love to hear from the audience is it better when we vehemently disagree or is it better when we agree? I've kind of enjoyed the last couple of weeks, to be honest, where we haven't been wildly apart and we've agreed on a lot of things, but that may not make good for good listening either. That may,
Right.
it's like, who wants to watch a movie where there's no conflict? I mean, what, everybody's just going to hold hands the whole time? I mean, that doesn't seem very entertaining.
We've had a couple. We've never crossed the line. Our official standard of decency is no F bombs in the podcast.
That's right.
We had a couple that we had a couple
Oh, yeah.
of discussions that we almost needed the bleep button from the producer to get us through. But
That's an interesting thought. Adding, well, I guess you do the bleep after the fact. If only you could do like a live bleep.
you could just have the button on the computer when I'm feeling it, I'll just push the bleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I will also first of all, I think I've enjoyed getting to talk to you this frequently more than any other benefit of this thing. It
Yeah.
has been
Same.
really wonderful.
Yeah.
I also want to throw a bone to the producer.
She's incredible. I tell you, when we were talking about it last time we were together, I mean, she was telling me about it, and I'm like, well, how long does it take you? And, a few hours. I mean, for a hobby that's a few hours a week, that's a lot. I mean, that's a huge commitment.
And it's my hobby. It's not even her hobby.
Yeah. Well, and she's got to listen to these two clowns. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, and I don't think your spouse has an official job title in the enterprise, but social media manager kind of comes to mind, and we very much appreciate that too. The pumping it out over the network. So we're really lucky to have good support.
yeah. Yeah. It's, it's honestly more of a commitment than one might think. I wonder though, like, because she edits, we'll have long pauses, or I'm sure she may, she kind of like speeds it up so it's not doesn't sound so choppy.
Yeah, I think maybe I mentioned this before. One of the things that the producer mentioned, she's seen this so many times. Both you and I have certain like vocal habits, and I don't even know what it is, but I'm sure I say things like that. Well, on the other hand, like there's all these
Right.
transitional things.
Ticks and
She
stuff. Yeah.
said she could tell from looking at the waveform exactly who's talking and where they're talking.
That's nuts.
And I think she does make use of tools, maybe even a little bit of AI to kind of scrub those awkward silences and kind of cut it down a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's really helpful. It's been great fun. And now, honestly, it's kind of like my passion to figure out how to, I've told you, trying to connect with other family members, and a little hard to do an hour a week with everybody, but still, it does make you think, like, even if nobody ever listens to this, I mean, like you said, we get to chew the fat once a week and cover a lot of topics. That's awesome.
It's great. It's great. Well,
So
what do
yeah,
you
so there's the
go?
Trump. Go ahead.
Yeah, I
Go
was
ahead.
going to say what's going on. I will tell you the axes to grind that I'll just put the things that I want to bitch about on the table. The
All right,
firing
that
the
sounds
head
good.
of Bureau of Labor Statistics because I did not care for the results. Um, I I think that says a whole lot in one statement. So that's kind of on my mind. Uh, Hopeful, honestly, that good things have come out of this summit, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't necessarily get the. I mean, I think of the BLS like PPI label, like producer price index tables and such. It's like heavy math stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what I haven't read what the cause of the firing is, but yeah, I agree. It's kind of like I'm hopeful there's bigger fish to fry than the BLS leadership, but yeah, that's
Well, I
interesting.
think candidly, I think the issue was, and this is true. So they always come out with their statistics, but then there's very often a restatement of what they saw in previous periods. And it's just the nature of the data collection, right? They get this information from a variety of sources, but they're all trailing indicators. And so you make your best guess on what you know. They rely for employment data. They rely on people like ADP who do payroll processing for huge numbers of companies. And you're having to make some sampling in there, but that doesn't catch everybody. And the restatement was that the economy is not that great, and honestly, I think that probably a lot of people are experiencing that. I think that there's a couple of real headwinds in the economy, and unemployment probably is significantly higher than what the top line number has been over the last uh, couple of quarters. But that's not evidence of malfeasance. I think most of the people that are really into this, they're quants, they're statistical people. They are not gaming things for a political basis. Like you couldn't get them to change their mind one way or the other. They think that this is what the number says. And they could be wrong, right? Like we admit that they could be wrong, but I just don't see a lot of partisanship in that.
Did he say it was because it's a political thing, or?
Yeah, I mean, in typical Trump fashion, he's like, these Democrats are out there cooking the books, so I look bad. I
Yeah.
just that that's kind of not how those people roll. Again, not that anybody couldn't be wrong or whatever, but what I worry about is so these government bureau statistics. And by the way, raise a glass to the old man. He was actually on a board at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, part of the group that sets the consumer price index and other things. So, this is kind of in his wheelhouse. And so, in his memory, I think we shouldn't trample on the labor statistics. But, so BLS is a really good example that they're certainly not perfect, but the ability to rely on a single number that everybody agrees is authoritative. It may need to be restated after the fact. So nothing's perfect. But having a fixed number, a nonpartisan, impartial, factual number is really important. And I think you're seeing this with Wall Street. I don't know. I've been paying a lot of attention to the market these days. And what you have this whipsaw because we're questioning the validity of the underlying data. Well, if you can't trust the data, it really undermines business decision making, and I think it has a really negative effect on the economy.
It looks like her name was Erica McIntyre or something like that. She's been the commissioner of labor statistics since 24. but it's kind of unclear what the hell else she's been doing up until now. Oh, she's got a LinkedIn page. That's easy. I mean, okay. From 2002 to 2008, she was an economist at the Census Bureau. And then she's an economist at the Department of Treasury for 2 years. Then she's a senior economist. Okay. This is what's weird, though. Even her LinkedIn profile, there's a gap from 2010 to 2022. Now, maybe she was just out of the workforce through that period.
No, I think that's when she was working in Davos for the Bilderbergers.
I
She was on
know
there. Yeah.
exactly. I mean, what is, I'm now wind up a conspiracy theorist over everything, right?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is she's the director of the thing. She doesn't make the statistics up. It's
Right.
there's hundreds of nameless bureaucrats below that. I'm just telling you that I don't think you're going to get you know, maybe a little bit of deep state resistance to craziness, but this is not a Democrat plot to undermine Trump's presidency.
Okay. So back on the conspiracy game, have you seen? You probably don't, but Rogan this week had this U.S. representative. She's a Republican, Anna Paulina Luna, and at least what I listened to for the beginning, she's she's advocating for the release of all the UFO information.
Mm,
She said in her podcast that she was privy to a classified debrief of evidence the US government has. And she said, from what she saw, there's no way that technology was developed by humans.
wow.
Yeah. I mean, a government
Wow.
official to say something like that, I'm like, oh, and it's funny because she's like, I'm a Christian. I mean, I believe God created the earth, but obviously, the existence of alien life forms doesn't negate that, but it certainly is unsettling, and she's like, and her thing was like, and this is information the public has a right to know. You can't just hang on to all this stuff.
Wow, that's really interesting. I mean, like here I keep saying this all through the Epstein thing. I'm like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I got to tell you, the UFO thing is weird. It is weird because I, I think, well, again, channeling the old man, his comment on JFK was that he thought that it maybe wasn't that complicated, but the people that were running the commission investigating it thought, oh my gosh, the Russians are out to get us. And so they built a defense to a problem that never existed. And
Yeah.
some of that may be what's going on with UFOs, right? People are just terrified of it. And so they built a system around it. The most interesting thing I think about that, I'm just piling on with the crazy based on what you just said. I finished that rum. Is that the idea that these things flew here from some other planet that's 3 billion light years away, really the physics of that just don't work real good for me. And again,
Well,
you and I have.
let me interject. That's the technology she said that there's no way it was developed by humans. She said there's credible evidence of time travel. Now, I don't know what the hell that is. I mean, she didn't say the words time travel. She said interdimensional.
Well, now we're talking. Because I was going to say that I feel like, well, you're looking something up. I feel like those explanations that have suggested that maybe what we're calling extraterrestrials are just human or non human species that predate us, that just kind of are so far beyond us that they exist around and among us, but not really in a way that we're aware. In other words, that the technology that built the pyramids, like it was way ahead of the time, and it kept going, and now they choose to hide themselves from us.
She said, this is her words, Congress has seen proof of interdimensional beings. I think that they can actually operate through the time spaces that we currently have. And that's not something that I came up with on my own. It's based on stuff that we've seen, based on information that we've reviewed.
Wow, that's kind of crazy, I gotta say.
And I mean, like he was like, everybody's going to say you're a nut job. And she's like, okay. But, like, it doesn't matter what party you're in. Like, I'm sure people are going to be like, oh, she's crazy. But like, I don't see the advantage of that, of saying that. I mean,
No.
I don't, I
And
guess I don't see the angle of why you make that up.
no, and I think it's consistent with what you've heard of. There are a lot of Congress members from both sides that have come out of briefings, and you've seen pictures. Their eyes are wide open. They're a little freaked out by what they've seen, and I think that's interesting. These are people that are routinely getting security briefings that would probably make our heads explode. And these are the things that they see, and they're like, "Whoa, I don't know."
Well, I mean, maybe I don't want to say, I don't want to speak prematurely, but I almost wonder if we're approaching almost like an Arab Spring type epiphany. That may not be the right comparison, but like the Arab Spring, like when these people in these suppressive countries were like, I've had enough of this bullshit. Like, we're done. Now, obviously the results didn't turn out too good, but I kind of feel like we're in a similar situation. Like, don't gaslight me on this Epstein crap. That is nonsense. We know there's more. Give it up. Like
Right.
this UFO thing. Like, I'm not just going to sit on it. People are going to tell. Like, is it possible we're entering an era where, just hanging on to secrets that you can leverage over others is not going to fly?
Well, and I wonder what the benefit of secrecy is. Like,
Yeah.
again, kind of the game theorist in me, right? Like, okay, hypothetically, we have contact with a species or a consciousness that's able to transcend time and space and distance. Okay, I don't know what that means, right? Are you thinking you're going to keep that to yourself? Like, that's never going to come out? Like, we're going to sweep that under the rug? Like, that makes no sense, right? You know that it's eventually. And so, what would be the possible
Well,
upside of trying to keep a secret?
and part of it is, I mean, her statement too is that U.S. defense contractors have tapped into some of this stuff, and we're like trying to re-engineer it. So I could see once upon a time that would be hey, this is going to be a strategic advantage. But in the information age that we're in now, it seems like things are moving too fast to hang on to crap. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm naive.
No, it doesn't add up to me. And again, okay, so if these beings are capable of time and multiple billion light year travel, are they going to allow themselves to be misrepresented by the U.S. Department of Defense and the defense contractors?
We're happy to work for Lockheed Martin. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Take me to your leader, and they
Yeah.
roll into, you know, L3 systems.
Well, I mean, that to me is the biggest, is the biggest argument against all this stuff. Is it's like, if they presented themselves, like, why are they only presenting themselves to people in, remote parts of Nevada and not, like New York City? I mean,
Land that sucker on the mall, and we're going to have a very different conversation
right,
than if I'm
right.
abducting people in the woods of the Northwest.
So switching gears to Epstein, and I hate to use the E word, I read another article today that was fascinating, and it's about the number of people in the Epstein circle and story that have died mysteriously over the last 10 years. I don't know if
Wow.
you've read any of that. It's striking. Now, in full disclosure, I'm quoting the National Enquirer. So, there's that. But
Well, while you're looking that up, though, I texted you when I had missed this news somehow that Virginia Giuffre, who was the accuser, she took her own life. And honestly, that woman bore a lot, and it's entirely possible that that's just the place she was in, despondent. And if so, I'm sorry to hear that. I gotta say, that's a little freaky, right? That people keep dying near the middle of this thing.
22 people associated with it. Now, there's people that are named, like Stephen Hawking was supposedly went to his island. Well, I mean, I don't think Stephen Hawking was long for this world as a, I mean, obviously he had some other issues going on. My favorite, though, I'd love to dig in on this more. Mark Middleton, 59, an advisor to former President Bill Clinton with ties to Epstein, was found hanged and shot in Arkansas in May 2022 in what was ruled a suicide. Like, how was that ruled a suicide?
You picture a Rube Goldberg type mechanism, that this elaborate thing that I'm going to make sure that I both hang myself and fire the parting shot just in case.
Yeah. He was found hanging from a tree with an extension cord around his neck and a shotgun wound to his chest. Yep, that was a suicide. Nothing to see, folks.
The scale, I don't know, I don't know who to believe in this, but I saw something. There's a woman who was a broadcast journalist, and she's now out of the game, and she's got her own podcast. Tara Palmieri. Have you ever heard of her?
No.
She's she's a left wing. I don't know that she's officially left wing, but she was talking about this, and I don't know where she got her stats, but the number of victims is in the thousands. The number of the women that were a part of that enterprise at some point is in the thousands.
Wow. Well, and then I don't know. Did you see the Katie Johnson allegations?
No.
No, this Katie Johnson had made a like criminal complaint against Donald Trump and Epstein back in like 16. And it's pretty graphic. I mean, what she alleged from both of them of having, abused her when she was 13 years old. I mean, it's pretty brutal. But she dropped the case. But, there was several things about why the case was dropped, but the main reason was she feared for her life. And it's like, well, I mean, if there's truly thousands of people wrapped up in this thing, like, again, this approaches the QAnon business, but that means there's a lot of power in this whole thing. And I mean, we kind of laugh about that. I mean, it is comical that they pass that off as a suicide. I mean, of these 22 people, like I said, I don't think Stephen Hawking got axed by one of these goons, but it's not to say that if there were that many powerful people involved in something that big, hell yeah, there'd be people getting killed. And look, the administration is saying there's absolutely nothing. The opposite side, there's thousands of people involved. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but they got to resolve. Somebody's got to resolve this, Congress or somebody. But maybe Congress doesn't want to resolve it either.
Well,
they can
right. I mean,
think of it also.
How many of them are on the list? The thing about it is, like, even if there is no new information, right? Even if there's not a single new thing in the file, it's a horrible, awful story that is an embarrassment at the highest levels of our government and our society. It's a terrible, terrible thing. And so even if there is no new information other than what's already been published in the New York Times, it's not a hoax. It's not nothing. Like, it's a ghastly thing if there's nothing additional known. And
right.
If everything's already in the public domain, then why aren't we releasing it?
Right. And why?
This is really linear.
And why do both parties do the same thing? That's the part, again, we've said it a million times, people are going to tune out, but maybe we need a Epstein Files party, like a new political party destined to getting the truth. But we've talked about that, and I feel like that's been a theme throughout our podcast over the last year, and it kind of relates to all these conspiracy theories, is what is truth? What
Yeah.
is the no kidding story? I mean, we're trying to find it out together, talking things out, but like, what is the real story?
So this is kind of a second drink kind of a statement, but but you know what I wonder? Like, I think if we've established nothing over this last year, it's that we are closer really than we're far apart. And yet we operate in these two different ecosystems. And your news feed looks very different than my news feed, right? Like we've established this thing.
Yeah.
Maybe what if this says nothing else, it says that the if you can paint two sides of a story that completely differently, like maybe it was all bullshit to begin with. And maybe when we thought we had the one story that showed up on ABC, CBS, and NBC, maybe that was all made up nonsense at that time anyway. And so
Yeah.
now, if the game in this town of DC is to just make up stuff that people want to hear, the only thing that's changed is that you get to micro pick your news. So the news that gets made up for the different groups just diverges because people want to hear different things. But it was all made up in the first place anyway. And actually, I mean, this sounds crazy coming out of my mouth, but I don't know. I've been looking at stuff that look back at Kennedy. You know, this would be another podcast. Been looking at the Mercury 7 project and, you know, Kennedy and the space race. And you look back and it's this varnish on the out, this shiny, gleamy, everything was wonderful. But we know Jack Kennedy was a scoundrel. We know that all kinds of bad stuff was happening. We saw a little glimpse of the crazy with Nixon, even before the election, before Nixon took over. Johnson caught him red-handed undercutting the negotiations in Vietnam. And there's a phone call between Johnson and Nixon where Johnson's like, I got you. I caught you doing this. And I'm not going to say anything because the American people can't handle. I'm ranting now. I don't know. That, like, are we just, is this two party, two news cycle? Is this just the latest manifestation of the same bullshit they've been feeding us for 100?
Yeah, I feel like a year into our podcast, I came into this thing, I think, with very I think established positions and thoughts, not like on everything, but like this is the way this is how this operates, this is how this operates. And I think through our dialogue and you're challenging and obviously recent events also, it's like I feel like there's goodness in challenging your positions, but at the same time, I almost feel jaded. Like they're all assholes, and you know, I like our illustrious aunt, whose famous quote, "People are assholes." They're,
Yeah.
and that sounds so apathetic.
Well, the
But it's
reciprocal of that, though, Kyle, because here's what's changed for me over this podcast, and this doesn't surprise me. I knew this all along. I have to tell you, the stuff that I've seen out of Trump and his cronies, I hope I've represented well. Like in total, I just zoom out and I'm like, my Lord, what has happened to my country? What has happened to the party that I used to belong to? And then I hear you talking and you take positions that I don't agree with, but you don't speak about other human beings in a belittling way. You don't, right? Like you disagree with things on policy with me, but our values aren't that different. And like I think that it's changed me hearing you put a different spin on things that are just like, well, this wasn't you, but um this thing about DC and the crime and the National Guard, and part of me is like, my Lord, what we're marching National Guard up and down because people got a popsicle stolen on the mall. And like, what? Well, truth is that in DC, there's a big difference between what goes on in the big public spaces And you get in the east and southeast side of town, and there's some real problems there. And Joe Scarborough was one who just recently was like, hey, before we're all like, oh, Washington, D.C., it's like the city of Oz and there's no problems. Like, yeah, there's a real crime problem. It's actually better now than it's been, but depending on where you are in D.C., yeah, there's some crime there. There's some problems, and it's probably not the D.C. government's been ineffective. I don't know. This is the place that reelected Marion Barry. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Except I think this whole podcast is just a hoax. I mean, has hoax gotten more? Is any time in human history has the term hoax gotten more usage? I mean, everything's.
I'm thinking about Al Pacino character in The Devil's Advocate. He's like, it's my time, Kevin. It's the time of the hoax. Yeah, I
Yes.
don't know. I don't want to be this blasé, this negative about things, but it really does. Like there's a really painful narrative that I've been drinking over the last, well, it's almost 10 years that this has been going on. And I'm never going to love Donald Trump, but I also have to acknowledge that it would be unlikely that even the worst of persons wouldn't occasionally do something that wasn't worthy of condemnation.
Now, it's interesting. Trump's meeting Putin in Alaska. If he was smart, he'd say, "Hey, I'll give you California if you'll call it quits over there. I'll give you." Well, you wouldn't want to give up all of California. I mean, just the San Francisco to L.A., right? But that could be problematic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see the challenges with such a thing.
Just kidding. No, that would be bad.
Hey, thanks for joining us on this episode of Bourbon and Rum podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us keep the good spirits flowing.
And we invite you to join this conversation. Follow us on our Facebook page. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to hear.
And until next time, cheers.